Emma Vigeland, TYT reporter in Iowa. Emma, how are you?
I'm great, Cenk. How are you doing?
Good. I just want to make sure you were there first. Okay. So, what city in Iowa are you in, and what room are you in specifically?
Right now, I'm in Des Moines, Iowa, where a lot of the action is happening. I know some of the local Iowa reporters complain that the national press only covers the big cities, and I'm part of that stereotype. But right now I'm in the Bernie Sanders party, and look, it's filling up quickly, and there's a lot of excitement here.
So Emma, I know you've been there for a couple of days, and I know that these questions are impossible because how would you know? It's all anecdotal. Nonetheless, I'll ask it. Any sense of how this election is going to go based on just being on the ground in Iowa?
So when I showed up and when I arrived here, my sense of it was that Bernie Sanders and Mayor Pete had the greatest contingencies of supporters when I was going around, my limited travels around the state. And I thought, then I went to an Elizabeth Warren event, and it was so full that she had to speak on the bottom floor of the event and address the other half of people who couldn't make it actually into the town hall space because of capacity. And then she spoke to people and gave a second speech. And for what I'm hearing from other reporters, so far she's exceeded expectations here in Iowa. So I didn't expect that. I thought she might be coming in fourth place. I thought it would be a Biden, Bernie top two with Bernie pulling it out, and then a distant third with Buttigieg there, and then Elizabeth Warren. But early results seem to indicate that Elizabeth Warren is doing really well. But the Bernie enthusiasm, honestly, I feel like it's just obvious if you're paying attention here. People seem really excited. The team here, people I've spoken to off the record, seem really excited. And so my sense of it is that he's going to pull this off. And Chris Matthews, he's going to be crying a little bit more tonight.
Yeah, so I'm really glad I asked, because it turns out, no, that was super useful. And so I'm going to give you my story when I was in Des Moines last. I think that adds to yours, Emma. But based on what you said alone, I'm calling it. Joe Biden's going to come in fourth. So he has no energy on the ground. You're confirming it now. When I've been in Iowa several times during this election cycle, you couldn't find a Biden supporter if your life depended on it.
Why? You have to call something like an hour and a half before we actually find out what happened.
No, because that's the fun part. That's the fun part. I'm calling it.
Cenk, I'll interrupt you there. I'll interrupt you just because I did go to a Biden event yesterday and it was packed. The thing about it, though, is that when I asked them specifically about policy proposals, they didn't really have anything. It was more just about, I trust him as a person. Look at all he's gone through. I heard a little bit of the coverage earlier about his personal tragedy. That seemed to be a big thing for a lot of the supporters there. It's really hard to gauge crowd size at this point in the caucuses because all the candidates are pulling out all the stops. So all the events are really jam-packed. But again, what I'm hearing tonight, though, is that even the Biden campaign is disappointed in the turnout. So your prediction may be right in that sense.
Yeah, don't back off on that, Emma, because you should get a bonus for just interrupting a conversation with Cenk to tell him that he was wrong. That's fabulous, and God bless you for the willingness to do that. To go to Anna's point, because I think she touched on something critical. The reason that Joe Biden has done well, and if he wins, not just tonight, but I'm saying if he's ultimately the Democratic nominee, and you can make an argument that he's the most likely person still to be the nominee, that it will be because that nostalgia, which is not a ethereal idea, it's real. Mm-hmm. It is as real as any emotion that we have: love, hate, anger, bigotry. Nostalgia matters to us. It makes people feel good. And in a time when we don't feel good, when we are terrified of the next day of what this monster is going to do, the idea that Joe Biden will put it back to the way it was before, forget that the way it was before wasn't right? But to please just put it back to the way it was before. Right. I mean, for every person over 60, not every person, most of the people over 60, I know a lot of them, that is motivating every ounce of their desire. Totally. And of what, so that matters, and just don't discount that as a thing. You're right, they don't care about the policy.
No, I get it. Yeah. I definitely get it. His entire campaign has been about that. Yeah. I mean, he has shied away from, not even shied away from, it's not like he's proposing anything inspiring or different, or he's not campaigning on I want a revolution or even I want a little bit of change. His whole thing is, remember me? I was Obama's VP. But I think one of the things that really did hurt him, and it hasn't been talked about in this context enough, I think Obama refusing to endorse him, and then all the stories that have come up about how Obama was trying to discourage him from running, actually did hurt Biden more than people realize. Because he can't really lean on Obama as much as he did in the very beginning of his campaign.
100%. So one sec. So first of all, to all your points, Biden has on his campaign posters sunglasses that he sometimes wears, like as a
cool guy.
But what is it a symbol of? Like I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, they spent a lot of money to put those sunglasses on the Biden posters. And what does that tell you about Joe Biden?
Eye protection.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you anything. So it's just like a completely empty platform, and no change candidate has not won in a long, long time. Remember the placards Obama had? It was change. And then Hillary Clinton ran on no change. Now Biden's running on no change. It just doesn't work. And I think that Emma might have been having trouble with her IFB because I already called Biden coming in fourth. But John, you wanted to.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Emma. Yeah. So Emma, one of the things that I'm interested to find out is for the candidates who are not going to reach viability. I know that you've had a few days now to potentially talk to some of their supporters. Have you gotten any sort of even anecdotal feel for, like for instance, like Yang supporters, Steyer supporters, Klobuchar, whoever, if they don't reach the point of viability, are there any trends in what direction they might then move?
Yeah, so first I'll just quickly touch on the fact of what Anna said, that when I went to that Biden town hall yesterday, it's just, you guys would be amused by this. They were playing glowing remarks by Obama about Joe Biden over the loudspeaker, as if Biden had been endorsed by Obama, but that's not the reality. And I think the voters that care more about that warm and cozy feeling aren't going to be paying that close of attention. So that's just my sense of it. But to answer your question, John, the Yang supporters, the Tulsi supporters, they're going to go to Bernie Sanders. And I really do think that that's a huge advantage for Bernie Sanders. And especially in districts, more urban, younger districts that are more likely to support candidates like Andrew Yang and Bernie, it's just going to increase his lead once that second round comes around. Joe Biden, I think he'll have a kind of a high floor in a sense. He's not going to be out of the top four for sure. But I think Buttigieg might get hurt by some of this because he's seen as a lot of people's second choice, right? So he might not be able to come out on top in the same way. But I'm not sure where the Klobuchar supporters are going to go. I think the Steyer supporters could go to Biden, could go a little bit to Buttigieg, Klobuchar, kind of the same deal. But the candidates that have positioned themselves as outsiders, like Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang, I think it's a no-brainer that they're going to be going to Bernie Sanders.
But so what people might not realize is that in the polling, when they ask Biden supporters who's your number 2 candidate, it's Bernie Sanders. And it's partly because a lot of the Biden voters are low information voters, and there's only 2 candidates they know, Biden and Bernie. So if he does not reach 15% in some of these caucuses, a lot of Biden supporters might also go to Bernie. That would be super interesting. Isn't
Elizabeth Warren the top second choice?
Well, that's funny overall. You say that. I didn't know that as a polling, but I was just about to say, Emma, when I was in Des Moines last time and I went to the Iowa steak fry, almost everyone I talked to in every camp said Warren was their number 2 choice. Buttigieg people said it, Biden people said it, Bernie people said it. So I'm intensely curious whether Warren or Buttigieg is going to come in second if all of this analysis is right about Biden fading and Bernie peaking. And so that number 2 all going to Warren might make a giant difference. I don't know if you've seen anything other than that, because that you just said a lot of people talking about Buttigieg at number 2. So this just leaves us back at, I don't know. But you want to add anything to that of Warren versus Buttigieg in terms of what people are leaning on towards for a number 2?
Yeah. So I actually went to a Warren town hall yesterday, and my specific question was, say Warren dropped out tomorrow, would you go more in the Bernie camp or more in the Buttigieg-Biden camp? And it was overwhelmingly still Bernie Sanders. You know, I think we can get caught up on Twitter in the fights between the two camps, and you know, is this policy by Elizabeth Warren truly progressive? But there is a huge overlap in support, and people were consistently saying that Bernie was their number 2 choice. Older people at the Warren event said, oh, Klobuchar or maybe Buttigieg. There really wasn't the Biden-Warren crossover there. But I still thought that was fascinating, that no matter the feud, there still is a strong connection between the two camps. And no matter the, I think, more questionable establishment type strategy that her campaign has gone with in the past month or two.
Yeah, look, that's why I thought the feud was so disappointing, because regardless of who wins, and obviously like we've made endorsements, I'm hoping Bernie wins, I always saw a place for Warren in his cabinet, because there is crossover, there is a lot of agreement policy-wise, and in my mind, she's a clear second choice, right? And then that feud needlessly caused a rift that didn't have to happen.
Yeah, but I think that could easily be healed. And in fact, and every campaign denies every inside story that comes out. And they did with this one as well. But there was a legitimate story that the Sanders team was looking into whether someone, i.e. Elizabeth Warren, could be vice president and secretary treasury at the same time. And I think the answer was yes, by the way. So, which is really interesting.
There's a Vox story from today or yesterday. How many hours are there in a day? 24?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
14 hours ago was that was today. That was still today. It was early today.
Yeah.
So caucus scores second choice. They're looking at the last 5 polls. In all 3 of the latest polls, Warren was the top second choice, 19% in Monmouth, 16% in the Civics poll, and 24% in Emerson's. Biden was the second most popular in 2, 16% in Monmouth's, choosing him as number 15%. So Klobuchar was the top second choice in the Emerson poll. So most recently, Warren is the top second choice, followed by Biden. But that to some extent makes some sense, because Biden is so far and away the most popular that for any low information voter who supports anybody else, Biden is, if they're not supporting Biden, Biden's the most likely guy. And also we must just not count the fact that they might like Biden. That's also fair.
Yeah, so and again, one more time, if you're wondering why we keep talking about this second choice, in the caucuses, if you don't get to 15%, they ask you to switch your vote, since it's not gonna count, you won't get any delegates under 15%, to switch your vote to your second choice. That is why that's such a relevant conversation. Emma, great reporting, we appreciate it. I'm gonna leave you with one other request, which is get the Sanders team to switch one of those monitors back there to TYT.
Oh, absolutely, I will. And what's fascinating too is Chapo Trap House is set up right over there next to me. So we are the legacy media here on the risers of the Bernie Sanders.
I love it.
With the Bernie Sanders campaign.
I love it.
But I love it because like not all the media got riser spots, but we got Chapo and we got TYT up here.
Nice.
And I saw in one case that I-24, i.e. Michael Schur, was next to you. I don't know if he is tonight though.
Oh. No, not tonight. Not tonight. I got the VIP spot. He was pretty bummed out last night with the Niners loss.
Oh, right. Well, yeah. We'll see how tonight goes for him. All right. Thank you, Emma. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat, emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.